The specifics of the Tochacha that Rashi, based upon the Talmud Yerushalmi, places into the mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu are as follows. V'od zot asitem. Over and above the various trials and tribulations that I had to encounter during the past 40 years, there was also a situation hinted at with the fact that U'bnei Yisrael nasu mi'be'erat bnei Yaakon Moseira. A segment of the nation undertook a journey from east to west from Be'erat bnei Yaakon to Moseira. This came about Kshemet Aharon b'Hor Har, when Aharon died at Hor Har, the Sof Arbaim Shana, in the year 2488, at the conclusion of the 40-year decree resulting from the Miraglim. And with his death, Nistalku Anani HaKavod, the envelope of protection that came about through the Anani HaKavod that had been with them throughout the 40 years in the Zechut of Aharon, also left. With the loss of protection came about a fear. Yeretem lachem mimilchemet melech Arad, a fear from an attack from the king of Arad. And as noted previously, Rashi understands the Melech Arad as the return of the Amalekites to wage war with the Bnei Yisrael, and for which Melech Arad was somewhat successful. On account of this fear, Unatatem Rosh, a leader was appointed, Lachazar leMitzrayim, to return back to Egypt, V'chazartem ba'achareichem shmona hasaot ad bnei Yaakan, and the group retraced their steps through the 8 locations until they reached Bnei Yaakan, Umisham leMoseira, and from Bnei Yaakan they moved on to Moseira on their return journey to Egypt. This is the journey that Moshe Rabbeinu mentions in his address to the nation in Devarim 10:6. What is not mentioned in the text but comes from the Talmud Yerushalmi is that Sham nilchamu bachem b'nei Levi, who incidentally were not implicated in the sin of the golden calf, had pursued them and waged war with this breakaway group. Hargu mikem, many of you were killed by them, and similarly, as in all war situations, they killed many of you. Ultimately, the Bnei Levi were successful. They forced the remainder of the breakaway group back to join the camp. The Rebbe in the footnote suggests that we have here a printing error, and the highlighted segment indicating a second commentary of Rashi does not belong. Rashi goes on to address the contradiction regarding the location that Aharon died. Bamidbar 20:28 states clearly that he died at Hor Har. Devarim 10:6, as part of Moshe's address to the nation, with the words Sham meit Aharon veikaber Sham, is linked to the city of Moseira. Rashi's response to this conflict is that U'b'Moseira asitem avel kaved, to reset the agenda. There was a mass mourning al mitato shel Aharon, for the death of Aharon, shegarma lachem zot, that indirectly was the cause of their being in Moseira. V'nidme lachem, and it was as if ki'ilu meit sham, Aharon had actually died there, although in reality he had died at Hor Har. And with this midrashic fill-in, we can respond to the questions that had been raised, namely the contradiction as to the location for Aaron's death, the conflict between Devarim 10:6, in which the Bnei Yisrael had journeyed from east to west, from Be'erat Yaakan to Moseira, whereas in Bamidbar 33 we are told that they journeyed from west to east towards Eretz Israel, from Moseira to Bnei Yaakan. We also have a response to the question as to why, following the battle with the Melech Arad, there was this need to make a solemn vow, committing themselves to the destruction of the Canaanite cities if God assists them in conquering the Canaanite nations. One might suggest that given the fear following the death of Aharon, this vow was a reaffirmation to their commitment to continue on into Eretz Canaan as per the original plan. We now come to the final segment of Rashi, in which he addresses the interjection into the narrative dealing with the smashing and the transmission of the second set of Luchot, with the journey from Be'erat Bnei Yaakan to Moseira, and the death of Aharon. This Rashi does in the final segment of his commentary.